Baton Pass has been neutered so many times in advance, and it's leading us to the question of, with the latest problems caused by SpeedPass, at what point do we stop giving it preferential treatment? At what point do we stop trying to preserve BP in the tier in some sort of palatable form? And, at what point do we just axe it fully? Like in every other gen, where you can, and DPP in black and white, you can pass a baton. You can pass the baton as long as you're not boosted in any way. So you can pass substitutes. You can use it as a U-turn, but no boosting. Where's that? And yes, it is preferential treatment to keep it in advance, and I'll tell you why. In those other generations, there was not a history of Baton Pass being used for good. That's number one. In Advance, Celebi's Calm Mind and Swords Dance Pass sets have a healthy history of being used to keep extremely passive, do-nothing teams on their toes. I think it's very good to have a punish to them. And against more aggressive styles of team, you have to really be skillful to pull that pass off. Plus, even if you do pull a Celebi, Calm Mind, or SD pass off, that's hardly the game on the spot. Flat out. So that's number one. Number two, more importantly, because my more idyllic side would say, yes, of course, if there's a broken aspect of something, then you get rid of it, even if it brings good. It's cool that Scald thaws you out if you get frozen by an unlucky Ice Beam, but it's still Scald and it's broken, so it's got to go. However, this is, in more recent years, I have come to accept the more pragmatic side of things, which is that, once an old generation reaches a certain age, you can't keep uprooting, what it is, because, then the player base goes, and then if there's no one left to play it, again, the idyllic side says, what, if people don't want to play this new, better, more competitive metagame, then forget them. I don't even know if I still disagree with that, but, that is obviously never going to happen. So, in terms of this discussion, we're looking at the pragmatic side, which is that these old generations, you can't just completely flip them. In Gen 5 OU, you can't get rid of something like Latios or Rain, because we have accepted that this broken metagame is what we have, and we'll try to make something balanced out of it, which I think Gen 5 OU has largely succeeded in recent years. Or in Gen 2, some people say, why not get rid of Snorlax? It's clearly so broken. Yeah, but it is also GSC, and you make do with it. Yeah, I'm not saying that there couldn't be some sort of like mass revolution or whatever, but let's just say it's not looking very likely. So, BP in Advance is similar. It's been a part of the metagame for so long that it would be ideal to preserve it, when clearly there are, healthy forms of BP and unhealthy forms of BP. And the unhealthy forms of BP, they go back to, God, what a long history. Back in 2011, when Advance came back to Smogon Tour, then the issue of full Baton Pass was raised, and this is the kind of BP that goes all in on the BP. It's full chains. You pass 1,000,000 boosts to a recipient. You can't phase because of things like soundproof and ingrain. And then at the end of the game, you're just staring down Zapdos or Metacham with +4 defense, +4 special attack and special defense. +3 speed from Ninjask, and then you just get swept. It's ugly stuff. And then, it's stuff like Belly Drum Pass, where Smeargle would sub Belly Drum. Now it's plus and activate Salad Berry, so then it passes +6 attack and +1 speed to a recipient, and game over on the spot. Kind of the cheese, the dishonest kind of stuff. If you take issue with that phrasing, basically the stuff that's uncompetitive because it's very limited in its answers, and it's not interactive. It doesn't make for much of a game. So, which is what cheese is shorthand for. But, doesn't really invite a lot of skill, which is as competitively relevant as distasteful in terms of honor. So, that stuff has been neutered 1,000,000 times before. In this original post on Advanced SpeedPass that was posted recently, it has mentioned the 6 different restrictions to target BP. And ingrain, trapping moves, block and mean-looking spiderweb. Soundproof because Mr. Mime blocks phasing and keeps the pass going. And 1 boost passer clause. Now, this one is the most relevant for us right now, because the gist is, what you got to keep in mind is that you can pass speed in advance, and you can pass another boost, like special attack, like a Calm Mind, let's say, from Celebi. But you cannot pass both, you cannot pass, Jesus Christ, you cannot pass both simultaneously, right? So, what this targets is the idea that, if you're giving too many boosts to one Pokemon that it's not supposed to, have ordinarily, then it's too much. Personally, I mourned this because I had a team I really loved with Agility BP Zapdos and Calm Mind BP Celebi. That wasn't a BP team, as in like dedicated to getting one pass off, but it was just an offense team that chained these boosts together to really make the most out of mixed attackers, get them past some of their flaws. I really loved it. Sometimes I even used a third baton passer, Vaporeon. I didn't even pass any boosts, just keep the BP going, and it's a great threat itself. So I mourned that, but I understand. Now, the issue is that even when you just pass speed, it's too much. And it leads to all sorts of nonsense. This is not a new idea, by the way. In Gen 6, Scolipede was passing just speed to something like Mega Heracross, that's what it was. I was going to say Maw. I was like, no, Maw was banned in Gen 6, but no, it's Heracross. It was, I remember it happened in SPL, someone just speed passed a Scolipede, and yeah, when you give that much speed to something like Mega Heracross, then a lot of time the game is over. So, just use Talonflame Brave Bird, and it's like, that's very much missing the point. That kind of, with this in mind, obviously Advance is not nearly as strong, but if you were watching the first replay that I pulled up on the screen, then you saw the kind of nonsense that can happen even when you have just speed being passed. So, yeah, and if you were not watching because you just have me on in the background, then basically what happened is that Zapdos passed an Agility, and then Umbreon kept the pass going, but it didn't do anything else. And there's also Smeargle Spore. Oh, there's 3 passers here. Nice. And yeah, then it passed to a Belly Drum Marowak, and Marowak behind a sub Belly Drummed, and it got to, and then it KO'd everything because it was faster than everything. So yeah, speed. Excuse me. Speed pass is a problem. And no matter how you restrict it, then just simply being able to give something else a speed boost, that would not ordinarily have a speed boost, outside of like Saligberry on Metacham or something, which obviously comes with its own major opportunity cost, is going to be, it's going to leave too much room for cheese. So, enter this post, and the arguments have been furious. I got this replay from McMegan's post from almost 2 years ago, in which he said, look, like, people were talking about, it's just a Ninjask thing, it's just a Sand Attack thing, because, yeah, people are trying to cheese it as much as possible with Sand Attack, which, by the way, I think Sand Attack should just be banned, regardless of Baton Pass. It does nothing but introduce luck into the game. It's just, yeah, I don't know why that has been so dismissed. There's been some controversy around that, actually, in the advanced world. There's a screenshot going around of the tier leaders apparently are not taking Sand Attack serious, or some of the tier leaders want Sand Attack banned, and some of them just laugh at it, and it's not much of a discussion. I don't know where that stands, how updated that is, but yeah, that's involved. But basically, McMegan made this post to show, with the team he just slapped together, just with without Ninjask, without Sand Attack, he still pulled off something like what we saw in that replay if you were watching. There are many others. I've linked it in the pinned comment if you want to peruse this. And, I mean, the thread in general is linked in the pinned comment because, obviously, this is not going to be something that you read in the video. So, we're just going to skim over the basic arguments, and the conclusion is that now there's a suspect test ladder, by the way. It hasn't been decided on. So, ban on Speed Pass, ban on Speed Test. And basically the gist is that Speed Pass, not only is it arguably overpowered, this is not being said in the thread, this is just how I see it, not only is it arguably just stupid to put it in layman's terms. Not only is it uncompetitive, anti-skillful, whatever phrase you want to use, to be able to just grab an auto win by giving something, doubled speed. I think it's also uninteractive because of how much it limits. It's not only is the fact that it's possible. It's not just possible, but realistic, and it limits certain styles of teams that really don't need limiting more, like offense. So, but this is where it kind of gets complicated. Where, as you see in this post, SpeedPass is good because it provides counterplay to Aerodactyl and Dugtrio, which offense teams really struggle against. If you've seen my videos before where I complain about offense being bad in Advance, a lot of it does center around those two. Or even something like Starmie, same thing. But, yeah. It limits offense because it forces defensive counterplay on an offensive team. Well, I don't think that's necessarily bad. So it's about, can we preserve the healthy SpeedPass can we preserve healthy SpeedPass while still getting rid of the cheesy stuff? Now that's the challenge, because I sympathize with this. Like that team I mentioned, I think I even made a video about it. I don't remember what the video was called though, but it's got to be a couple of years old at this point. The video is that like the whole point was that mixed offense. A lot of it is not that strong, and it struggles against faster Pokemon. Oh, what if agility? Oh, what if Calm Mind? To be able to bypass the strength and speed issues. But it wasn't broken. I don't think it was broken anyway, because it was hardly an auto win. It was just like a regular offense team. But the thing is that the rule set that enables that team also enables a rule set that of these problematic elements. So people are talking about DD Pass, Smeargle, Sand Attack, Trapping and Sand... I should have mentioned this. Trapping and Sand Attack on the same Pokemon will be removed from the tier, which, that's good. I'm very happy about that, at least, so that's cool. I don't know why we can't just get rid of Sand Attack full stop, but okay, sure. Actually, even if it's part of a... does this even fix the issue? No, I don't think it does, because then you can Sand Attack, you can Trap some... Actually, no, the Sand Attack thing is part of another thing that was a problem recently, so disregard that. That was the Endless Battle Clause thing. Jim probably made a video on it already, but someone was PMing me this video. Someone, like, PP stalling with Dugtrio and Trapinch and Diglett. Nonsense. I should look at that again. But, yeah, again, I don't know why we're not just getting rid of Sand Attack full stop. Anyway, so, SpeedPass... Yeah, these posts are very, very long, so I'm just going to. SpeedPass not broken, competitive, punish Doug teams with spikeless offense. Yeah, people are basically very afraid of spikeless offense being neutered even more than it already is, because, again, mixed offense, spikeless offense, they're the same thing. That otherwise you just get, ransacked by Dugtrio. I don't think Aerodactyl as much. Aerodactyl I think is perfectly manageable. But the Dugtrio thing. But then again, that brings up another issue. You see how complicated this stuff is. That a lot of people recently have been saying, I think it's kind of Dugtrio. That's not just a problem against these offenses. I think Dugtrio is kind of busted in general. And, people were talking about it for a while. I was keeping an eye on it to see if it was going somewhere. Did I make a video on it? Probably. My memory's going. Actually, I have a great memory. But maybe not for too much longer, Anyway. So, but yeah, the original post in this thread says, don't talk about Dugtrio because it's not inherently tied to... Yeah, but half the arguments for why SpeedPass is healthy is... I don't know. It's a mess, Don't talk about this. Talk about yeah. Oh, the Endless Battle... Okay, so this has been... thing. It's not just Ninjask. And attack inherently tied to Baton Pass's tiering... Full BP's ban is not being considered. Okay. Not open to banning multi-pass. Oh, well. Okay. Anyway. So, oh, Jimmy made a post in this thread. Wow. So, yeah. Okay, so this post by Simeon, I agree with. Arrow's not been an impressive tool, and you're not really... If you're... Yeah. I don't think you need SpeedPass to handle Arrow. If Doug, sure, but Broken Beats Broken is bad game design. I agree, very much so. And Doug Trio might just be busted in general. I think Doug Trio really needs some attention. But yeah, I signed up for the recent. I was laddering the other day. My God, and I played. I'm signing up for the Advance Revival with full expectations of getting my head knocked off. But just to be a little more in the loop. Yeah, without going full psychotic again, I hope. Anyway, so, SpeedPass gone, yeah, Roar BP, yeah, yeah, so this is basically saying, look, it's not worth preserving SpeedPass to punish Doug Trio more than Arrow, you know, the Arrow thing, I think it's more about Doug Trio. It's legitimate, but it's not worth keeping the cheese, and yeah, if Doug Trio is that much of a problem, Doug Trio might just be a problem itself. So, yeah. Here's Jim's post, Ninja's Pass sucks. Agilizap, more honest, yes, I agree. It's also less completely all-in on speed passing, yes, completely. And it's... I agree, I think we can lose Agility BP Zap. I think Agility Zapdos as a sweeper is actually very underrated and has been pretty much forever, but that's something else. DD Pass Smeargle. I like DD Pass Smeargle on a spike set, like, oh, if they try and spin with Claydol, I get a free DD and a pass. But, or I get my spike down if they boom immediately, you know, you can see what you're going to do with that. But the all-in stuff is kind of, it's not really worth it. So, yeah, the Salic Vaporeon lead is very well known. It's a set invented by Osmantitos, and it's a great set. And it would be a shame to lose it. I'm sure, you know, Salic plus BP, you know, preserve that. And if someone manages to make Salic BP broken, that would really be shocking. I don't even know what you would manage to do. That would really make it too much. But who knows? Anyway, so yeah, I'm basically in agreement with Jim Cool here. So, yeah, here's a post by Vapicuno. Oh, okay, here. This post I don't like at all, because it basically says that SpeedPass is good for certain offenses to bypass Doug Trio and be good into stall. Remember how I mentioned those like passive, blobby, you know, do nothing, fat, sandless teams? Well, fat teams, specifically the ones that don't have sand, because they take advantage of not having sand to have something like Suicune never go down. Yeah, these are the teams that Vapicuno is referring to. You know, Milo or Suicune, Blissey, Scarm, Claydol, Doug Trio +1. You know, or Superman stuff, Scarm, Bliss, Flygon, Zapdos. Things like that. And basically, Vapicuno says, these teams are very good. Do you like this part of the meta? Do you like watching Suicune, Claydol, or Superman mirrors? Do you want to make them even better? And I don't like this train of thought. This is basically... I understand the idea, and I'm sympathetic to it. Of course I am, because I'm pro Celebi passing. But I think Celebi passing is... Number one, Celebi passing is better into these things. Number two, Celebi passing is not the automatic hope for cheese win that Speed Pass is. So I don't think that yeah, basically I don't think you reliably beat these teams with Speed Pass. Basically this is, I don't want offense to be worse, which I mean I understand, but I think the reasons why offense is being limited is more Doug Trio than anything else. But yeah. Coin flipping nature, speed, Zapdos versus Blissey interaction. That I don't think that's, But yeah, Zapdos Doug Trio into Blissey is only a coin flip if you let it. That's. I remember when people wanted to ban Zapdoug. That was very, very silly. Anyway, yeah. Here's Johnny G's post. Johnny G2's post. Well, this is a long one. Oh, he talks about me. Wow, I must be right. No, he says, sir, okay. He's talking about aggressive offenses with and without spikes dispels the argument that speed pass is needed to check these bulkier teams that rely on Dugtrio. He says, I think the evolution of Registeel, Brick Break, DD Ments, and Endeavor Swampert on spikeless teams has helped create these styles that do not enjoy the two checkmate revenge killers in the tier, Dougie and Arrow, but puts enough pressure on those teams to make it less comfortable, because Brick Break, DD Ments in particular is very good in a lot of Scarm Doug stuff. Registeel and Refresh Offensive Pert is very good for a lot of teams, Arrow teams. But, yeah, you can use Zapdos as a flyer on these teams without running Speed Pass. You don't really need them. So, you don't need to cater to these in particular. And this is also something to keep in mind. Like, I remember in Gen 5, there was a lot of argument, oh, you need to ban this Pokemon because it makes Stall unviable. And the counter-argument was, well, we have no obligation to make Stall viable. You know, so, which is why something like Kyurem Black was never banned. Yeah, so, if they're really, you know, a problem, I mean, these teams are not really struggling, these teams never really struggled against Arrow more than, to a reasonable degree. Dugtrio, yes, but Dugtrio is also a very controversial Pokemon. I know I keep going back to that, but it feels like the same points are being elucidated in different ways, which is why I'm mentioning them. So, BKC and apparently Finch, of course, made this argument. It's about consistency, sticking with certain team styles because they're consistent against a wide variety of threats. And having a good competitive tier means you need to be able to fall back on balance. Otherwise, you're constantly trying to plug holes that you can't fill with the options available. Yes, I agree. And he's drawing parallels to the Gen 5 Gems fiasco. Piloting an extremely unpredictable offensive aspect of the metagame. Parallel to Speed Pass and Advance to a lesser extent. Obviously, it's not as strong, but the idea is still there. You know, again, I feel like there's got to be some level of abstract thought in these debates, because it's like, well, you know, it's not as powerful as Black and White Gems abuse, and it's like, no, obviously not. That's not the argument being made. And then you start arguing about what the argument is, and what kind of discourse does this sound like? Real life parallels everywhere. Anyway, so, yeah, basically you don't need something like Speed Pass to break through Scarm Dug or Superman or whatever, which I agree with. He's got some replays here that you can check out if you are so inclined to see. Look, if you want to get past Speed Pass, sure. Now, yeah, here's a post from Siglet where he basically says he doesn't think there's a serious issue. Good lord. Oh, there's a Hariyama. Oh yeah, I've been hearing about Hariyama Belly Drum Speed Pass. So let's check this. Oh, this was for a gym tournament, I think. So I don't know yeah. Oh, Mawile, Smeargle. Oh, this is ugly stuff. Oh, there's a Roar Swampert, and apparently this is still going to. There's a Calm Mind, Celebi. Getting the. Oh, is a Whirlwind? Oh my god. Oh, okay. So Whirlwind to block Roar, Agility passed, and I assume that's the ball game. What's that? HP? Oh, HP Ghost. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I don't like that exists. Yeah. This post is basically saying, oh, well, this team is unusual, we don't need to cater to it. I mean, it's weird because multiple posts are talking about we don't need to cater to the style, and then saying that as a reason to ban Speed Pass and then to not ban Speed Pass. You know, it's, you know, like, this post is saying, you know, oh, well, it runs over offense, and we don't need to protect offense. And then the other side is, you know, offense will be worse against these passive teams, but we don't need to protect offense, so we should ban it. So, yeah. Taunt BP. Speed Pass ban, or full-on ban of sleep moves. Yeah, Well, I've already made what I think on SpeedPass being inherently something we just shouldn't have, so. Yeah, here's a post from Luna's band now, or LBN, on how there's 6 limitations. But I just wanted to highlight this because this is the worst kind of post in these debates. I don't play advance, that being said, or I don't play advance, but I don't play this tier, but yeah. And then there's this post which says full pass with 6 BP months, no restrictions, and has enough counterplay, but that's far from the consensus. Yeah, violation of tiering policy because yep, so more people coming into advance, not playing advance. Awesome stuff. Love that. Yeah. As summarized by this post by Milka. Preserve stuff that just isn't worth saving. Doesn't play the tier. Yep, another post from someone who doesn't play the tier to complaining about what advance does, which, okay. I wonder, like, if advance wanted to, I don't know, ban Metagross or whatever. And people, I don't play advance, but is Metagross really broken? I realize it's not the same thing because it's not a... Well, it's a tiering policy thing, but it's also a metagame thing. And what is tiering policy supposed to do if not serve the metagame? You know, like, tiering policy for the sake of it, I think, following that as gospel, it has been proven to be a bad idea multiple times, many times, throughout history. So here's Frudazi making his post about Agilipass. It's very long, but basically saying why Agilipass Zap is important for spikeless offense and why it needs to be preserved. We've already mentioned this point. Obviously, he's got dude, paragraphs. I'm begging you. This is the James Joyce of advanced tiering policy. Anyway, so yeah, this one. Anyway, so interactiveness. Smeargle's interactive. So it's basically Smeargle plus BP should be banned in general, but Zapdos, Agility Zapdos needs to be preserved, is what he's saying. I appreciate the analysis, of course, and then the rest of the thread basically goes, Zapdos, Agilipass, good, and then Johnny G comes back with a rebuttal. Yep, here it is. Again, I'll be here all day if we go through it in detail. So I will leave, because I will let their posts speak for themselves. But they're basically going over the dynamics we have mentioned so far. So, here's a post that's about the failures of Smogon, bureaucracy, and tiering, which, I'm always sympathetic to. Ninjask Pass, yep. Just attack as a strategy, not a good one, of course. That's one of those, like people, I remember back when Baton Pass was still considered as like, oh, it's fine, by some people who just hate the idea of banning things. Then they would be like, oh, just fix your team if it's weak to BP, and which fails to engage with the problem with that BP presents in the first place. It's funny because, like, now it's been so long that we take for granted. Yes, of course, Baton Pass is broken, but I still remember a time where BP you had to scream at people for years and years to convince them that BP was a problem at all. I don't know how much of it was bad faith or whatever, which obviously always a possibility in debates like these. But yeah. So here Johnny says, argument for banning SpeedPass should be divorced from how banning it impacts the metagame and tackled separately. Yeah, he mentions this replay, which we'll just go over very quickly, against H-Clat. Oh, Regirock, cool. Doesn't get the counter off. Suicune Wars. Where's the BP? Obviously, that's the idea, that not every BP team is going to be full-on Well, here's Subseed Septile. Oh, okay. There's the Ninjask. Yeah, you... Oh, yeah. Pass +3 speed to a mag... Okay, that's obviously not getting anywhere. Oh, now it's a Calm Mind Roar boosted Suicune. Oh, Heracross. Okay, I don't think the BP team was supposed to actually win this one. It's just an example of a kind of team that exists. Okay, I see. You know, people will see a game where BP loses and say, see, BP lost, which is, to be clear, this is like, I remember, this happened in Gen 4, Gen 5, like, Salamence was banned in Gen 4, Landorus Incarnate was banned in Gen 5, and 6, actually, I remember in Gen 6, and you would see, like, a replay where Salamence would, like, get KO'd by an Ice Beam, or Landorus would get KO'd by a Hydro Pump. It's like, oh, yeah, Uber, yeah, so broken, you know, which, love good faith arguments. Anyway, so, unoptimized version, which is optimized. Whatever half measures you adopt to stamp this and complex ones, like I landed in the original post, will be returned and be here again. And this is why people want to get rid of SpeedPass. It's like, oh, well, Salad could be preserved. It'd be nice. I like Salad Vaporeon. But, you know, there's always going to be someone who finds the broken aspect, and then we're here again. I mean, think about it like this. We're in the second half of 2025 arguing about Baton Pass in advance. You know, the first Baton Pass argument on Smogon started, or like in modern advance, which I consider the beginning of 2011, you know, was the beginning of 2011. So, yeah. Yeah, then he goes through the details of this. Yeah. Basically, yeah, he's like, he's saying, you know, Gen 4 Bug Arceus stuff, like, oh, let's complex ban so Bug Arceus can be allowed in OU. It's not the same thing. It's, advanced options, again, disingenuous, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, what's amazing about this exchange between Johnny G2 and Frudazi is that they're very respectful and acknowledging each other's points as legitimate. So that's almost a miracle. Here's River. Yeah, valuing gatekeeping, so... I know how that goes. We'll be able to fine-tune a ban. Smeargle BP accuracy, then if that's not impossible, then SpeedPass ban. Yep. Rebalances the Sandless oh boy. Opponents. Oh my god. Didn't understand the BP rule. Conflict supports the SpeedPass ban. Let me tell you, Conflict is the most ban-averse person I've ever met in my life. So, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's where the debate ends. That's a joke. Oh boy. Oh, here was the Chevron deference post. Alright, for those of you who are not familiar, again, this is probably easier if you just read it for yourself, but complex bans are pollutive emissions, and the Advanced Hearing Council is a federal agency. Again, I'm okay with analogies. I'm just not sure if this one works. It's a doctrine by which the Supreme Court, and as an extension the rest of the judicial branch, should defer to federal agencies in the interpretation of potentially unclear legislation, even if said interpretation may conflict with the opinions of the judicial branch or the presumed intentions of Congress while they were drafting said legislation. The background which led to the court case, which was a new EPA interpretation of the Clean Air Act, which allowed sites to construct or rework their buildings and machines without going through an arduous permitting process so long as they reworked other pieces at the site to be net neutral and negative for pollutive emissions. So, he says that to say he believes it's very reasonable to allow the council to propose complex bans for the consideration of the good people of the advanced community. Obviously not bound by Supreme Court doctrine. especially not that which has been recently overturned, but it's a net positive. It seems it's undeniable that it's a net positive to maintain or even reduce the number of rules and complexity of these. SpeedPass is banned, not need for restriction on Mr. Mime any longer. Oh, sure. Why not? Yeah, okay. This is just, yeah, now the thread has devolved into, you know, oh, we have too many bans, let's simplify it, which, okay, that's not really as much of a concern for me, so much as, the speed pass of it. Bite the bullet, PDC says, bite the bullet, speed pass, or baton pass. Yeah, speed pass, I'm cool with that. Then, conditional... Follow-up post, sing Mawile. Oh boy. Yeah, you see what this kind of stuff encourages? Sing Mawile. Good lord. Taunt, a sleep move. Yeah, cheese. Do. Here's a troll post from Triangles about being a libertarian, about BP in the past, wanting it fully freed, and now he wants it banned completely because he wants to use Shiny Zapdos without revealing info. For those who don't know, if you use Shiny Zapdos, you reveal to your opponent that it doesn't have Baton Pass. So you can't use Shiny Zapdos. And not that Zapdos' Shiny is amazing, but it's pretty cool. It'd be nice to use. Anyway, so here's Ferdazi's post. Offenses needing to make... concessions and... Yeah. Why do we have to treat fatter sandless squads different? I don't... Is sandless fat really the stable part of the meta, the part that you rely on? I mean, I think... bulkier teams in general are. But it's an interesting point, of course. Why is eliminating agility zap for Smeargle's sins? Complex bans are okay as long as they fit the agenda. This is a good point, actually. I did not notice, since I'm just reading. There's all these complaints about complex bans, but nobody minds the sand attack plus trapping thing, which, I mean, should also just be sand attack straight out, but... Yeah. Inconsistency. I mean, it is inconsistent. This stuff's a mess. Of course. Yeah. I don't think Calm Mind BP and SDVP Celebi are as intense as they're being made out to be here, but the auto wing guns on the spot. I don't think they do in the same way that SpeedPass does, but I understand the comparison. I don't think the parallel really holds up though, because the Calm Mind or SD pass boosting is actually, it's not really much of a game ender on the spot against a decently built team because the speed aspect isn't there. And even like if you go to agility Metagross or something, then it's not that strong. The point is when you pass speed to something extreme like Marowak, then that's too much. Whereas giving Metagross an SD is terrifying for sure, and against certain teams it's nightmarish. But you know, the teams where that really winds up being overbearing are the ones where agility Metagross is already a threat. So, maybe I don't understand. I don't know. Yeah. But I understand also the distaste for the handling of these things, because it is fiascos. Being reliant on immense. Need to get more time, but still it's hasty. Look, even back on Net Battle, you know, literally 2 decades ago, informal BP clauses, because even back then it was too much. Have as many ways to... Oh, another back... Oh, what a respectful discussion. They just disagree on what is healthy for the tier. He doesn't think SpeedPass is healthy. It's not about preserving... Well, it is about... You don't think he doesn't think that SpeedPass is needed to keep the sandless fat stuff in check, and SpeedPass isn't really healthy. Yeah, so these It's not really consistent to have like teams that are just sweepers. So this is just basically, again, Frudazi is very dedicated to spikeless offense, which is why he's one of the best people to consult on this matter. But yeah, Doug. Is Doug more interactive than BP? Oh, I don't like Doug either. Yeah. Okay, so that with Johnny's last post. Then the result is that there is now an ongoing, as of Wednesday, the 20th of August, 2025. There's a suspect test on the ladder. The details are here. Your suspect account must never have played a game in Gen 3 OU before the suspect test went up. You cannot reset your win-loss for this. So, yeah, the details are here, of course. But yeah, so these people are already qualified. And yeah, so 17 ELO GXC 82 deadline Sunday, August 31st at 11 p.m. GMT -4, which is New York time for those who are not as well versed in GMTs as those of us who have been scheduling competitive Pokemon battles for a decade and a half. Anyway, so that's basically it. I've given my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. I'm sure we'll have a lot of chaos in the ladder in the upcoming 9 days. Alright, thanks for watching / listening. Hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.